So what's the alternative? Well, Ted O'Brien is the Shadow Treasurer, and I caught up with him late this week.
Great to be with you again, Ross. No, it's not. Really what we see is an economy that's just limping towards Christmas here. It's very weak. We really just see again that habit of the government of getting bigger, becoming more and more prominent. Here we have a government whose spending is faster than the economy itself, and that's bad news, because it just means interest rates will be higher for longer. It means real incomes will be lower for longer. That's the
government spending in this financial year as compared with our economy, according to these latest numbers out this week, growing at 2.1%. And that kind of says it all.
And two, they have to start growing the economic pie. And the more it just focuses on spending taxpayers' money, well, it competes with the private sector. It competes with households, which is why it's just driving prices up. If they're out there competing for goods and services with everyday households and businesses, well, prices go up, inflation goes up, interest rates stay higher for longer. But it also means they compete for resources. And you have the resources of the economy
in Australia's economy, which means Australia's economy cannot grow at its long-term growth rate of 3%. And if it really tries to, then it creates inflation, in which case the Reserve Bank has also indicated this week that it's quite prepared to put up interest rates if it has to.
Well, this is just it. And so at a time when the economy is operating beyond its capacity, the last thing a government should be doing is pouring in more money and really, representing almost half of total demand. That's not what the government should be doing. This is the time where the government should be taking a back step. The government should be looking at deregulating. The government should be looking at ensuring there's better competition. The government should be looking at reducing energy prices. The government should be looking at taxation reform. The government should be looking at workplace relations. This is where the government should be focused. But instead, Ross, all we are seeing is a government which keeps spending money, and it only makes it worse.
OK, it seems also to me that it's a government which is centralising when you've got really every smelter and every foundry up the east coast and around to Adelaide that's on life support right now, when you've got Rex Airlines effectively on life support right now, range of other businesses either in start-up phase or shutdown phase under government support with taxpayer money. That's really not really driving the private sector forward.
Yeah, it's certainly not. And where does it end is the question, right? If you were going to continue to subsidise rather than trying to deal with the problem at its source, then you're only going to be racking up more debt and going to taxpayers saying, please give me more tax. But that's what's happening. So where you have the smelters, as you mentioned, they've been very public, saying a core concern of theirs is the price of energy. Energy costs have increased by about 40% under this government. But instead of dealing with energy costs, the government says, you know what, we're actually going to tax taxpayers more. We're going to take out more debt so the next generation can pay for it, just to keep these smelters running. So they're dealing with the problems at the symptom level rather than the source level, and that's where I think they're going so badly wrong.
It seems also to me that much of this really boils down to energy prices. Energy prices are where consumers are feeling a lot of pain. It's energy prices that create the inflation, which can move interest rates. It's energy prices which create industry to be uncompetitive. It's energy prices which really, if you like, are costing Australian taxpayers so much in the transition to the renewables future that the Labor government sort of sees.
And Ross, we have to remember that Australia might be an island, but we are part of the international economy. We're part of the global economy. And so what is happening by extension is Australia as a country is becoming less competitive. And so as the years drag on under this failed energy policy, Australians are becoming poorer, our economy is becoming weaker, and our supply chains are becoming more dependent on foreign supply chains. And that only leads the next generation to a future of poverty, and we don't want that.
But out of the economic growth numbers this week, the national accounts numbers, the one part of Australia's economy where private investment is growing right now is in data centres, is in artificial intelligence investment. That surely is the thing in the future that can drive forward Australia's economy, but that also is reliant on cheap energy.
You're dead right, Ross, and this is where, unfortunately, Australia is vacating the field because our energy policy is so shot. Here we have probably the single biggest reform, the biggest transformation of the global economy, certainly probably in our lifetime, and that is the emergence of artificial intelligence. And we're talking about private sector money here, not big government money. But because Australia cannot get its energy policy right, it means that we are losing an opportunity here. I mean, we don't have enough energy to satisfy our existing demand profile, let alone the thirsty data centres who need an abundance of energy to work. I mean, Australia should be ambitious when it comes to AI. We should be thinking expansively, not just about our own domestic economy. We should be the leaders of AI in Southeast Asia and beyond. We've got everything it takes in that regard, bar one thing. We've got all the energy resources we need, but we have such a poor energy policy, we have too little energy available. And where it is available, it's crazy expensive. And so, unfortunately, under this government, they will not be able to capture the AI opportunity.
I was going to ask you one final question, and that is, have you had a think about the economic style of this government? How would you describe the economic strategy, the economic style of this government?
I'd probably describe it as an enormous word salad, Ross, is the truth of it. In the budgets, they are meant to have a very clearly enunciated strategy. But there's not one numeral in their existing strategy. It's all words. And it's all driven by polling. But as anyone who does the budgeting at home knows, as anyone who runs a small business knows, it comes down to numbers. And this government, unfortunately, dare I say, this treasurer, is purely focused on the rhetoric. It's the words, it's the political communication. But in the real economy, what makes Australians prosperous, what makes our economy strong and fiercely independent, is actually the real economy. Numbers count.
I'll tell you what, Ted O'Brien, always good to chat to you. Many thanks for your time today.
Thanks very much, Ross.